Hello world and welcome to this Xcode tutorial. We'll be building out a map project. So go ahead and create a new project. Make sure your iOS is the target app and go ahead and hit next. We're just going to call this one coffee search, I suppose, but you can call it whatever you want and go ahead and hit next. So we'll go ahead and start out by just creating a new file over here, and it's going to be a Swift file, and we'll just call it action. So this will simply be an action struct that represents an action that can be performed in our horizontal stack of directions, call, or open the web page. We'll get to the view a little later on, but let's go ahead and create this by just typing out struct. The name of the struct is just going to be called action, and then we are going to make this conform to identifiable. And our first property is just going to be a constant property, and we're going to assign it an initial value. After, of course, we give it a name. So we'll go ID like that and clean up some of this horrible spacing. So apologize for that. We'll go ahead and go UUID, which just initializes a unique identifier for this struct. Our next constant is going to be title. And we're not going to assign any more of these properties. We're actually just going to have them of type. So this is going to be of type string. We're going to create another constant, and we're going to call this one image, and we're going to make it of type string as well. And our last constant here is going to be a little different. We're going to go let, we're going to call this handler like so, and it's going to be of type open close and return or dash greater than sign, and then we're going to say void. So return type of a function that doesn't explicitly specify a return type. What this handler is a closure or anonymous function that gets executed when the action is performed. So we'll be using this in a map controller class. And that's all there is to this file. So let's go ahead and create another file called business. We'll just come up here, option click, or however you have it configured, press in on your keyboard and enter. And we'll just create another .swift file. This one's going to be called business. Go ahead and create enter on that. So here we have just another blank .swift file, and this one's going to be again a struct, and we're going to go ahead and call it business, and we're going to have it conform to identifiable. Inside here, we're going to do again just create a constant, and this will be called ID. We are just going to initialize that with a unique ID. Our next property is going to be another constant, and it's going to be called name for the name of our business, and it's just going to be a string. And our next property right here, we first need to import something more than just foundation because we'll be using MapKit. So let's go ahead and go import. Here we're going to go MapKit. So this is just a lot of code that Apple wrote that allows us to do some fun stuff with maps. And one of those things will be creating a place mark. So we're going to go ahead and create this place mark, and we're just going to say of type mk, so MapKit place mark. And this is a user-friendly description of a location on the map. So that'll be handy when we're displaying map information. The next thing we're going to make is another constant. This one is going to be called coordinate. And again, it'll be of type coordinate or CL, which is core location coordinate. And this just gives us a latitude and a longitude associated with a location. That'll again be useful when we're trying to place things on maps or get directions to a specific location. And then we're going to also create a phone number property so that we can call the company. It'll be a string. And then our last property in this file is going to be website, in case we don't want to call anyone and see if their website is useful. I was typing out string there, but actually this is going to be a URL, and it's going to be optional. So there we have it, 2 files down. Now we're going to go into one other file that's going to deal with business logic as well as some presentation logic a little bit. And then after that, we got to get into the fun SwiftUI views. Leave a comment down below. Do you like business logic or laying out views? Views definitely can be frustrating at times, but I suppose business logic can as well. It's just going to be called Map Controller. So first thing we're going to do is go ahead and delete this foundation import. All we need here is MapKit. After that, we're going to go ahead and create our first and only class. We'll go ahead and go class. We'll call it map controller, and we are going to have it conform to observable object. So in our class, we're going to go ahead and create a couple of properties and then a handful of functions. And this is a pretty simple app, so Map Controller really is going to be doing all of our business logic for us. And like I said, a little bit of presentation logic. So first off, we're going to create a property that we're just going to call search term. It's just going to be assign an empty string. So to assign an empty string, we could just make a string literal, but I kind of prefer doing it this way. Does the same thing though, so it doesn't really matter. Then we're going to go ahead and create an @published property. So this is just a way to publish values to our SwiftUI views so we can keep everything in sync. These are always going to be variables. This one is going to be is business view showing, and we're going to set it to false by default. That'll be a bottom sheet that we present when they tap on a pin that's been dropped on the map after we do a search. Next, we're going to go and create another @published property here, and this one is going to be a little different. It's going to be private, and we're going to open parenthesis and go set. I'll explain this in a moment. Let's go ahead and finish typing it out first. So in this published property, we're creating an empty array of businesses, that struct we made earlier, and this is going to represent our businesses that will be displayed to the user. Now we're setting it here as private set, which just means that the property can only be read from outside. Our view will be able to read that we have new businesses, but it won't be able to assign or set any properties on that business. We're going to leave all that logic to our map controller. And we'll go ahead and continue on creating some more published properties here. Again, we're going to use the private set like so. This is the property we'll use to store the business that is currently selected by the user. Next, we're going to go ahead and create our last published property, which will be @published, like the ones before it. And again, this will be a private, open parentheses, set var, and this one's just going to be called actions. And we're going to assign it array of action, the first struct we made. And this will be used later on when we create an H-stack where we iterate through each element in the array to create our views. Now with our published properties created, we're going to create just a couple more properties, but these will not be published. We'll go ahead and create a variable here for our map region, just call it region, and we're going to assign it an MK coordinate region. And as it says here, it's a rectangular geographic region that centers around a specific latitude and longitude. So just a place to look at in our map. We're going to go open parentheses, and we're going to go ahead and enter in the center coordinate region and the specific coordinate distance values. So for our center, we're going to go ahead and use CL location 2D, which we can then open parentheses and pass in a latitude and longitude. And for this, we're going to go ahead and go 47.6062 -122.3321, and that's roughly downtown Seattle. If you ever want to use some test latitude and longitude, go to Google Maps, and in the URL, you can find the latitude and longitude of wherever you're looking at. Handy little way of finding a location for testing. So next, we're going to go ahead and put in the latitude size of the region in meters and the longitude size in the meters. This is kind of our distance, like how close we are zoomed in or not. And for this, we're just going to go ahead and hit enter, backspace on this a little bit. We can just put in a number like 1600 and then tab to the next one, which go 1600 like so. Next, we're going to go ahead and create two computed properties. Let's just go ahead and enter and create a variable here called selected business name, and it's going to be of type string, and then we're going to go curly brace, enter. And you can see right away we're getting a missing return error warning, but we'll go ahead and fix that. First off, though, we want to create a guard statement. And our guard statement just checks if the selected business is not nil, otherwise return. But we'll go ahead and use guard let. So we're creating a constant here. We won't use name. We'll just go selected business. I'll copy that because I'm being lazy. And we're going to go ahead and assign it the selected business property that we created on line 14. And then if that value isn't there, we're going to go else, open close curly brace, and in here we'll just go return an empty string. And we're still missing our return, and we now have a value that we defined but never used. So let's go ahead and fix both those problems by going return, and we'll be returning the selected business dot name, which is a string. And now we've solved our problems with our computed property and it's good to go. And next we'll go ahead and create another computed property. This one's going to be selected business placemark, and we'll be returning the placemark title instead of a business name. Now with our computed properties done, we're going to go on to creating the functions for this class. Go ahead and enter a few times, and we're going to just create a function here, and this function is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to give it a name. We're not going to give it any parameters. It's not going to return anything, and the function body is going to have a little bit more going on for it. So let's go ahead and scroll down, give ourselves some room, and start writing out this function body. First thing is we want to create a constant, and then we're going to call it request, and this request is just going to be an MKL local, not point of interest, local search. So creates and returns a search object with specified parameters. So using that, we're going to go ahead and put in backspace there a little bit, dot request, and the parameters to use when searching for points of interest. Open and close that. And then let's go ahead and use that request dot natural language query, a string containing the desired search term. We're going to use the search term we created further up in the class, like the first property. So we'll go ahead and use that. And then we're going to go request dot region, and this is the map region, and we are going to assign it region here, which is another property we created previously on line 17, I believe. Now we're going to go ahead and create a search property. So let search, and we're going to assign it MKL search. And this time we're going to pass in a request, and that is going to be the MKL search.request, which we created on line 30. So we'll just type in request. And here we're going to go ahead and go search.start. And this just starts the search and delivers the results to the specified completion handler. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and hit enter. And here we're just going to go ahead and put in the response like so. Oops, undo on that, just response. And then we'll tab, and then we're going to go error. And then inside of this code block, we're going to go ahead and first start with a guard statement, guard. And again, this will be a guard let, so we're creating a constant, and we're going to go response. And if we have a response, we're going to assign it to our guard, our response constant. Apologize for that. So we'll go ahead and go response. We'll go else, because our guard statements have an else. So if we don't have a property back, or we get a nil value, we can then do something. So here we can do something, but for now, we're just going to go ahead and return. Now, on a guard statement, you can have it multi-line like this, or I mean, if you're not going to do anything, which in this case we're not, but you probably would in a real app, I'm going to go ahead and just put all this on one line, because if we hit this guard statement on line 36 and we don't have a response, we're going to return immediately out of this entire function. We're not going to do error handling in this tutorial, but perhaps in a future video. So now we're going to go ahead and map our response to an array of business objects. So first off, we'll go ahead and go dispatch queue, and we're going to go ahead and use the .main.async. And inside of here, we're going to go ahead and go business or businesses, that array of businesses we have, and we're going to assign a response to that. So a response from that, we're going to go map items. So this is a MK map item, an array of map items representing the search results. And we want to map this to our business struct that we made. So .map. This returns an array containing the results of mapping the given closure over a sequence of elements. That is going to allow us to do this. So we'll go item, and inside here, we're going to go ahead and say business, open parenthesis, and now we're creating our business struct, or initializing it here, and we're going to say item, which is that map item, that MK map item, and we're going to go get the name here. And this is going to be an optional, so we will have to deal with that. And we're going to say, give it a default value of just an empty string. And then for our place mark here, we're just going to go item place mark. And then of course, we'll just continue on to our coordinates, which will be item dot place mark dot coordinates. And that's how we get the coordinates from our place mark. The map item will also give us the phone number. So we just go item dot phone number. So that's pretty nice. And it also gives us a website. So we're going to go ahead and go item.url. And it looks like we forgot something here. So where is this? Our phone number. Okay, so our phone number is optional too. And we're just going to go ahead and similar thing. We'll just give it an empty string if it doesn't have one. And this is just complaining because we need to reference the self explicitly. Thankfully, Xcode keeps us on our toes and helps us write better code. So now we're going to move down to line 43 and just hit enter. And we're going to go ahead and put a comment here saying that we need to make a function that's going to create our actions. So create actions like so. We'll get to that momentarily. But for that, let's go ahead and create two other functions. So go ahead and make some more space at the bottom here. Hit enter a few times. Go ahead and create another function. This one's just going to be called open maps or open map. It's going to go ahead and take some parameters. And those parameters will be a coordinate because we want to open the map inside of iOS's map application. And this will be of type CL location coordinate 2D, and we're not going to return anything from this function, so that's fine. And then in here, we're going to go ahead and create a constant. I'm going to call it map item. We're going to go ahead and assign it an mk map item, and open parentheses here, we're going to go place mark. So it creates and returns a map item object using the specified place mark object. And from that, we're going to go mk place mark, and we are going to get the coordinates from the place mark. So we'll just go ahead and go here, go coordinate, like so. And then on the next line, we're going to just use the map item to open the Maps app and display the map item. And that's all for that function. Our next function is going to be for setting our business. So we'll just call it set selected business. And for the parameters, we're going to go for, we're going to go business. We'll say of type business. This function won't return anything either. And what we're doing here with our function, we're saying selected business, and we're saying for, which is when we call this function, you'll see select a business for, but you won't see business. Business here is just going to be used internally in the function, but this is the type, and both of these properties are the same. So just one's for external use and one's for internal use. Kind of. Hopefully I explained that okay. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. But here we're just going to go ahead and set the selected business property, and we're going to assign it business. And also when the user selects the business, we're going to go is business view showing, and we're going to go ahead and toggle that property. So this just toggles the Boolean variable from false to true or true to false. Basically whatever value it is, it toggles it to the opposite. Another really clean, simple function. So we can go ahead and move on to creating our create actions function, which we want to call up here on line 45. So I'll just go ahead and copy that, or Command X, and paste it right there. And then we'll scroll down a little bit and hit enter a few times. And we're going to get a complaint here that can't find the create actions in scope because we haven't created the function yet. But let's go ahead and do that by going func, and then we'll go paste, and then we're going to go open and close. And now we have the warning or error go away because we now have the function. We just need to write up all the code. So this function doesn't take any parameters and it doesn't return anything. We're just going to create all of our actions and assign it to our actions property that we defined earlier. So actions, and then here we're just going to assign an array. And this array is going to be filled with action objects, open parenthesis, and we put in a title, image, and handler. Back to the first thing we created. So here, we're just going to go string, and we're going to call it directions. And this will be our directions button that we're creating here. For the image, we're going to use an SF simple image, and we're going to use car.fill. And I'm just going to hold down the shift key and then back arrow to highlight this, and then shift quote, because I forgot to put that in quotes in the first place. And then for our handler here, this is where we're going to add the functionality for our button. So we'll go ahead and hit enter. So this is pretty good. We can use it, but I like to clean it up by just cutting this and getting rid of handler because we don't need it. Paste that there. And then I think that looks a little cleaner. Just open, close, curly brace, and then our code we want to write. So here we're going to go ahead and use another guard statement. Use a lot of them here because it's better to probably guard something than just force unwrap it. So here we're just going to use guard let, and we're going to go self and assign self, which you can see self here is just a map controller. And then we're going to go else, and we're just return And the one thing that I did forget to do now looking at this is after our opening curly brace here, we want to go open and close square bracket, and we want to go weak self, and then we go in, and then everything after the in is what we'll be running. But this just creates a weak self, so we're preventing having a strong reference to the self. So hopefully no retain cycles. So we'll go new line, and we'll go ahead and go self, which again is the map controller itself. And the map controller has a function called open map. And then with that, we can go self selected business, and the selected business has a dot coordinate. And this needs to be unwrapped because it's an optional. For now, we'll just go ahead and put a bang operator, force unwrap it, I guess, even though I was just talking about card statements. That's our first object in the array. And now we just go comma separated, enter, and we're going to go ahead and just paste in the other two actions. So in this one, we're going to go ahead and create a call action, which is a phone number.fill. And we're going to go ahead and use a phone number, which is going to get the phone number from the business. To start the phone to call a number, we're going to use a URL. And we're going to use a function called convert phone number, which we'll create in a second. And we'll pass in the phone number. The reason why is because I was having a few problems with it until I messed around with a little formatting. So we'll get into that in a moment. And then we just go UI application, shared, open, and pass in the URL. So if a user tapped on the call button on their phone, it should call the company they search for in maps. Here it's somewhat similar. We have a website, UI application, website, and we're just passing that in. So there's all of our actions. Now let's go ahead and get rid of this error by creating the convert phone number function. So let's go ahead and scroll down here a little bit more and go ahead and go to the end of the function on line 76, hit enter a few times, and we're going to go ahead and just go func and create a function called convert phone number format, and then we're going to go open parenthesis, then we'll go ahead and go phone number. Phone number is going to be of type string, and we also want to return something, which will be, in this case, a string. So we'll go ahead and do that by dash arrow or greater than. Always looks like an arrow to me, which makes sense, like we're returning something from this function. In here, we're just going to go ahead and create a constant, and we're going to call this stripped phone number, and we're going to assign it the phone number that gets passed in, and then we're going to go ahead and go enter, and we're going to go dot trim characters. So this returns a new string made by removing from both ends of the string characters contained in a given character set. And basically what that means is we want to get rid of dot white space and new lines. So just kind of get rid of all that. Then we're going to go ahead and go dot components separated by, and we're going to go for character set, and it's going to be dot decimal digits, returns a character set containing the characters in the category of a decimal numbers. And we're going to go dot inverted, and then we're going to go dot joined, and we're going to just use the joined open close parenthesis. And then the last line in this function and in this class is we're going to return a string, and the string is going to be formatted as tell forward dash, and then we're going to use string interpolation by backdash open close parenthesis, and then we're going to put in the stripped phone number. So there we have it, 86 lines of code, and we have really all the logic this app uses. And after I said that, or while I was speaking, it says non-void return, which makes sense because we have our return arrow here, but we never actually specified what we're returning. So make sure we return the string. Also, I believe I saw an error up here, which was probably complaining because this function here, passing in the phone number, and it's returning the string that's getting put into this URL. So now at 86 lines of code, our class is done. And now we are on to writing the views. So let's go ahead and go up here and create a new file. And we'll go ahead and say SwiftUI view, even though you could create it this way too. It's just a little less work doing it, SwiftUI view template. And let's go ahead and call it business view, which is going to be our bottom sheet, and didn't know what else to call it. So business view probably makes sense because we'll be displaying our business information. So the first thing we want to do is come up here on line 10, go ahead and enter a few times. And on line 11, we want to go ahead and create our observed object. So the map controller that we made, we want our business view to observe changes in it. So we'll go at observed object and go ahead and hit enter. And this will just be a variable. And we're going to go ahead and call it map controller. And we're going to say of type map controller, that class we created earlier. We're not going to initialize it here. We're going to do that inside the content view. And that's going to handle our state. This business view is just going to observe it. So now we can go ahead and fix some complaints here because our missing argument for our preview, and we can go ahead and just go fix and go ahead and hit enter and then open close parenthesis. So we'll just kind of create our empty initializer for our map controller. And then our complaint up here is we misspelled this. We're not an observable object. We're observed like this one. All right, that should go away now. And now we have our basic struct set up. If we go option command enter, we should get our preview to show up. You can also just go up here, and that's under canvas, but the keyboard shortcut's pretty nice. Right now it's showing us the entire screen, but we're just going to be building out a small view. So come down here and go selectable, and then come down to our preview here, and you can go dot preview layout, and then we can go dot, but we go size that fits. And now we are just seeing the view that we're making, which is, I think, is pretty handy when we're creating small views, or really any size of views, because then it gives us just the idea of this is what we've made, nothing else. So from there, let's go ahead and start building this view out. So first off, we're going to go ahead and select this text view on 14, and we're going to go ahead and go vstack, enter, open, close brace. Inside of our vstack, we're going to go ahead and create an hstack, and then we're going to go open parentheses, and with our alignment options, which I didn't pull up, so we're just going to undo here, parentheses, and we'll just start typing alignment, and then hit enter. Now we've got our alignment options. We're going to set to dot top, and then we go tab, and now we can start writing out our views, which inside here is just going to be another vstack, and don't think, let's see, actually I think we do want some alignment here. Let's say we created a vstack. We could of course just go up here and start typing out alignment, or if you press Control Option click, you get this little window that pops up, and I think we want our alignment, as you can see our options right here, to be leading. And you got a lot of other options here that you can do, but we'll just leave it at that for now. And the first thing we're going to do is create our text. Going to go open parenthesis, and we're going to go map controller dot selected business name. And then we'll go ahead and give it a modifier. So we're going to go font, and we're going to go ahead and give it a pretty large font here. We'll go title, and you can see our business view is spinning over here, thinking about things. But if we go option command P, that'll update our preview or redraw it, except when it doesn't. So this might be a little picky at times, but we'll go ahead and continue on. Basically, the business name is like if we looked up Starbucks or, some other name, it'd show up there. Since that's not working, you can just imagine it for now, and we'll see it in the end result. Next, we're going to go ahead and make another text view. Going to go open parentheses and go ahead and go map controller selected place mark. Oh, now our preview is updating, so it's just got 2 question marks. So that's looking good for that vstack. Let's go ahead and create a spacer outside of the vstack inside of our hstack here, and then go ahead and enter. And we're going to go ahead and create a button. We're going to go to open parentheses, and if you just go A, C, you get this action label, and press enter, and then enter again, and we can run the code here. So what we're going to do once they press the button, which in our case is going to be map controller dot is button view business view showing, and we're going to go dot toggle, and again that just toggles a Boolean value true or false, and that means we'll just kind of close the sheet when they tap on that. For the label or the image, or what we want for the visual element of the button, we're going to go image open parentheses system, and we have a string here, so we'll go ahead and create a string. But then we'll go Command Shift L, which brings up the, if I click away from that and come up to the top right, there's a little plus button here, and it's the library. It does the same thing. But you've got all kinds of options here. You got code, you got modifiers, you got more code options, which you can even save your own in here. You've got, what is this, the assets library? Yeah. You got color, and you got SF symbols built right into Xcode. And that's what we're looking for here is SF symbols. There's a lot of them, so don't try to remember all their names, but the one we're looking for, I think, is xmark.circle. Yep, so just double tap on that, and we had our cursor in the wrong spot. So let's go ahead and grab that, cut that out, and put our cursor in the right spot, which should be here on line 28 inside the quotation marks, and paste it in there. And now you can see we have our little button over here. Now we do want to do a modification to this, not loving the blue. So we're going to go ahead and give it a modifier of foreground color. Going to set it to dot secondary. All right, so things are starting to look pretty good. Apparently we didn't put any placeholder text for our title, but it's going to be there, our button, and our address. Let's go ahead and go to line 31, enter again, and let's go ahead and create another H stack. And once we do create this H stack, we are going to create it using that actions array. So here we're going to use a for each. So a structure that computes views on demand from an underlying collection. So an array in our case here, and we're going to go open parentheses, and we're going to go map controller dot actions, which is that array of actions for our buttons. And in here, we're going to go ahead and just go, and we're going to go action. So we're going to create a constant here, and then we'll use that in our for each. So we'll create a button, open parenthesis, AC for action label, enter. And let's go ahead and just scroll down a little bit because it's getting way close to the bottom. With that in place, we can now go, again, this first line 35, is going to be the action that is going to be taken when they tap on the button. So we're going to go action dot handler. So that's that function or anonymous function we created. And here on the label side, we're just going to go ahead and create vstack. So vstack. And inside of our vstack, we're going to go ahead and use an image. I'm going to open parentheses on that, go system. And we're not going to use the library here because our map controller already has the name. We're going to go action dot image. And then here underneath the image, we're going to go ahead and go text, open parenthesis. And again, we're going to go action dot title because we created all of these actions inside of our map controller. Now, our complaint on line 35, we just need to go open and close to clean up that little issue. Now, one other thing we're going to do on our vstack here is going to go ahead and go dot frame modifier. And cool thing about this is you can see we have width and height and max height and min height and ideal height and all these options. But once we spell out frame, we can say we don't want any of those. We just want max. And you can start typing it out and it highlights that. We go enter and we get just that property. And here we're going to go ahead and go dot infinity. So take up as much width as you want. With that done, we're going to go ahead and create a modifier on the button itself on line 43. So it's going to be dot button style. And here we're going to go ahead and go dot bordered. And then we're going to go ahead and just go 1, 2, 3 and go dot padding. And that is going to be the padding we're putting here on line 47 is going to be padding on our H stack, I believe. Yep, right there. So now we don't have everything just right up against the corner. We actually have a little padding around all of our elements. That completes our business view. Let's go ahead and create a map view. So come up here to content view, tap on it, 2-finger or control click or option click, whatever it is. Go ahead and press in and enter. Again, SwiftUI view, go ahead and press enter. And this one's just going to be called map view. Create that. And here we want to have SwiftUI, but we also want to have import MapKit because we will be using a map view here and a few other things. We'll come over to our right hand side and we're going to go ahead and press this button here, third one over, to kind of get our whole view framed. And this one we're going to keep the phone as is because we're going to be building out a larger view and it'll look a little nicer, I think. One thing we can go and grab from business view though is we're going to also observe the map controller. The next view we create, we will actually initialize the view, but in here, in both of these views, we're just going to observe it. Clean that up. And again, it's missing our argument, so I'll just pass map controller in there. Create an empty initializer, and here we want to go ahead and replace this text view with a map. And we can go open parentheses, and it's going to take a coordinate, and this is a binding. And so we want to go $map controller dot region. And there we go. You can see in our preview over here, zoom back out, downtown Seattle, Pioneer Square. That's what we got from, I just took it from Google Maps, but you can put any region you want and start seeing stuff show up. So far, looking really good. Now, we also want to go comma, and we also want to add an annotation. So annotation items. Go ahead and hit enter, or don't hit enter because it doesn't do any autocomplete for us. We're going to go ahead and use the map controller businesses. So this is that businesses array that we created inside the map controller. We'll go ahead and go enter on that. And then we'll come over here, go open curly brace, enter, and inside of this block of code, we are going to go actually up here on line 15, we're going to go business like so. We'll go in, and then inside the actual block of code now, we're going to go ahead and create a map annotation. And this is just a customizable annotation that marks a map location. Now our annotation is going to be pretty simple, but go wild. You can do really all kinds of stuff in here. So we'll go open parenthesis coordinate, and for the coordinate, we're going to go business dot coordinate, which is that CL coordinate location 2D. And then from there, we're going to just go tab and enter. This is where we're going to create our custom view. Now I'm just going to use an image, and then we're going to use a system image, and then create string, and then go Command Shift L. And then here, this one we're looking for is just going to be called map pin. And the one I think I like the most is down here. Yeah, map pin and ellipse. So that's what I'm going to use. And we'll add a few modifiers. We'll go dot font, and we'll use dot title. We'll also change the foreground color on it to dot pink. I think pink looks better than red in iOS, kind of there, because it's using kind of their system colors. I mean, again, you can make this anything. This map annotation can be a custom shape. It could be a V-stack, whatever you wanted. We're doing it pretty simple. Then we're going to go on tap gesture, and then we're going to go map controller, and then we're going to go dot set selected business, and then open parenthesis for, oh wait, I didn't say set, did I? I'm like selected business. I want set selected business for, and then we can pass in the business. So business here, which if you tap on that, we're getting it right here. So business, or right there, business, that's what we're passing in. And then that is pretty much it. One of the things I might want to do is our map doesn't take up the full screen. We've got these gaps on the top and the bottom. So we'll go ahead and go to our map here, ends on line 24, and we're going to go dot edges, ignore safe area, and we're going to go ahead and go dot bottom, and not too worried about the top. We're going to take care of that in our content view. But then we also want to add another modifier, dot sheet, and we want the second one down, the is presented, and we're going to go $map controller dot is business view showing, tab enter. Let's go scroll down a little bit. And then inside of here, the view we want to show is our business view we just made. And this is kind of why I feel like we're building this a little backwards, is because if we built out this map view and we didn't have a business view, then we'd have to go build that out and then come back here. But this way we're just kind of building as we go. And then in here, we need to pass in the map controller like so. We're not actually passing that map controller in there. We're just using the property on line 12, passing into that view. And then we're going to just modify the presentation sheet a little bit by doing a dot presentation tints, and this is just an array. And the first option we're going to pass in is a fraction, and that fraction is just going to be 0.27. So it's not going to be very big. It's going to take up a little bit of space on the bottom. Now we could just have one option in here, but if you wanted to add more, you could also go dot large. They also have dot medium, and of course you can do fractions and customize it all you want. But there you go. That is the map view all built out. Now we just have one more view to go. So we'll go ahead and go up to content view, and we're not going to create a new view at this point. We're just going to come here, going to grab all this. Actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and come up here and go ahead and create an at state object. So this is where we instantiate our map controller right here. And then this view is handling our state, and our other views are observing the changes. Here, we're going to go ahead and create a property like variable and call it map controller. And this is not going to be of type. We're actually going to assign it map controller like so. Now we can go ahead and delete this VStack code because we're not going to use it. We're going to create a navigation stack. Then we're going to, inside of there, create our map view that we just made, controller of a map view. And then we're going to go open parentheses and we're going to pass in the map controller that we created right here. And there's our map view. And now we just need to add 2 modifiers and our app is done. Go dot search. And this is the search, not compatible, but searchable. Oops, searchable like that. And it's going to take a binding. So we're going to go $map controller dot search term. And then when we press the search button on the keyboard, when we submit that, we want to do something. So we're going to go on submit of. So this adds an action to perform when the user submits a value to this view. Go enter, and then here we want to go map controller dot search. So here we're also going to say of, and then dot search. Oops, I need to put colon dot search. And there we go. Now we have a search bar. So let's go ahead and command R and see what happens. So here's our map view. We can move around our map. We can tap up here and we can go coffee, search. That was our on submit. Here's our custom views, our pins. Tap on one. Oh my gosh, this looks terrible. We messed up over here somewhere. Let's go fix that. We'll go ahead and X that, tap that button, it dismisses. Go ahead and go dot period. And let's go back to our business view and see where we went wrong here. So we have our VStack, we have our HStack here, and that's where we went wrong. Our HStack, our other HStack is in our HStack. So let's go ahead, grab this, Command X, and that's the end of our HStack there. That's the end of our VStack. We want to actually put our HStack there. Scroll down, clean this up. And I want to cut this padding out and I want to put it on our VStack. So 47, 47, that's the end of our VStack here. And then we have our HStack. And then we have our HStack. If you want to learn more in future videos, let me know if we want to build out better mock data so we can preview our views better and hopefully not have that happen again. But we'll go to content view, we'll run it again, and this time hopefully it works. So here's our map view. I'm going to go ahead and type in coffee like so. Go ahead and go search, tap on one of these, and there we go. Tap on that, it closes. Tap on this, we can grab here and pull up. And of course, there's not much to this view because we didn't build it out. So we'll dismiss. And yeah, if we go directions, takes us to maps. If we tap on the website, takes us to a website. Yep. And if we tap call, doesn't do anything on the simulator, but I did test this on my phone and it does work. So there you have it. Pretty simple little app. We could also search other things like, I don't know, maybe just food in general. Search. Nothing apparently. Oh, I spelled good, not food. I apologize. It's getting late now. Food. Like that. Do a search. And there. I was like, there's got to be food in Seattle. A Pizza Mart. Look at that. Let's see if it has a website. There you go. Pizza Mart. So if you're in Seattle, go check out the food places. Hopefully this video was not too rambly. Trying to get better at these. Probably need to record them earlier, but I record them at night because that's when I'm done with work and when my kids are asleep and all that. So I'll try to work on these and improve these videos and make them shorter. Or I don't know. If you've watched this long, leave a comment. Are these videos pretty bad, or like what would you like to see improved? But I'm going to call it a night, and thank you all for watching.